Hey everybody, it's Matt here with Raptor W Everything. Today I've got another EDC bag for you guys. This one is my EDC truck bag or SUV bag. I carry it sometimes in the GX here or in my pickup. It's interchangeable. If I'm in the Lexus, I'm typically on my pickup and vice versa. So anyway, this is what it is. So that's a Rightline Gear bag, and this is something I keep every day for roadside emergencies and things that might come up. So let's get into it. All right, so this is the Rightline Gear duffel. I don't remember the exact size of it, the liter capacity, but that's their logo there. It's a good bag for this use case. You can throw it around in a vehicle really well. It has weather resistant, I would say, probably zippers, welded seams. It seems to be pretty well built. Again, those welded seams, I would say probably for the most part is waterproof. Up here is where you're gonna see more of a water resistance. I actually originally bought this to throw on the like the roof rack or in a hitch carrier for trips. Throw some gear in it or even clothes. Something that could ride on the outside of the vehicle. But the flap, it's got a Velcro and then again a good all-weather zipper. But let's get into this thing. All right. So this use case for this pack, again, it's for the trucks. Some of you guys seem to like the last video I put out on my EDC, which was on my my chest rig that I wear, bando bag. I'll link that up here somewhere up on the top of the screen if you haven't watched that video and you'd like to. But this is built out for like a pickup or a full-size SUV loadout that has like some receiver hitches attached or a steel bumper with recovery points, something with recovery points other than the like standard tow points that are kind of on vehicles. Something that can hold up to some weight. But first, what I have is kind of a list of what I have in the bag or I'm gonna put in the bag, or if I'm kind of contemplating. But there's a few items on here I don't have right now. I have another bag that I keep with me, like you call it like a get home bag. We'll put that on another video, but this one is really just vehicle focused. So these things are sweet. They're kind of hard to find. They're called Disposicone. I actually got these through a first response meeting. The guy is on roadside safety as first responders gave these away, but they pop out. There's two in here. They're highly reflective. There's some measurements on there. They use like a really heavy like tar adhesive almost on the bottom, and you can stick them on the roadside. Super wet conditions they won't work, but here in the Midwest we don't deal with rain like every day. So it's not a huge issue. You can slap them on the side of vehicles. Again, really awesome. Take up no space. Don't use batteries. That's huge, I think. You know, so many of these are really bulky or they use batteries. They're little flashing pucks or something. Don't have to worry about anything with this guy. Okay, so first up I have it organized kind of how you would need to get into it. So again, the road cones are right there if you needed to get into it. Next up is this highly reflective bag. Again, it's like super obvious. It's right here on top. This one's got a headlamp and gloves right now. If I'm needing to do something right on the roadside, these are kind of at a bare minimum. These are kind of the two things I want to have with an easy access. So next up, you have recovery gear over here. And then I have some electronic tools, I can meet the needs of a lot of situations to at least get me, if I'm on the mountain, in a really remote area, I can at least get out of that to a town to do a better job on whatever I'm needing to address. But this will kind of catch a few things. So first up, I've got just a cheap tire repair, tire patch kit. I've used it several times. I will say when I run out of these, I'll probably switch this to a kit with valve stem inserts, but otherwise it works pretty good. I don't know, the ones with patches like this, I'd be surprised if that worked very well, but these plugs are great. Tire plugs are pretty handy. It'll probably ruin your tire in the long run, but it'll at least get you where you need to go. You just plan on having to buy a new tire. So if you never use these are like these really super sticky, almost Twizzler things. And without going into too much detail, you ream out your hole with this after you get the nail or whatever is caused the puncture. Then you put one of these into this eyelet, you shove it in the hole, you pull it out, essentially. This will come out, this will stay in, problem solved. At least part of the problem. Now you've plugged the hole. Depending on how quickly you got to it, you might have to put some air in it. So that leads us to our next component, which is an air compressor. Now I did say I wish I had a valve stem tool in this. I do have that here in this specific kit. Again, I think a kit for a car or a really small like crossover, it would differ a little bit, but for now I would expect to see the same things as I have here in a vehicle like that. So air compressors come in various shapes and sizes. They're getting miniaturized now. You can get pretty small ones that'll at least get a car tire filled. One I'm looking at for another kit is a Milwaukee brand that uses their M18 batteries. Those are some of the tools I use, but this is just a cheapo off Amazon. It works if you're not airing up and down every day, off-roading and stuff. This is great. So in this first area is the air hose itself for it. And the other area is the compressor. I won't get into too much detail, but it's a 12 volt DC compressor. So you can either put it in a cigarette lighter or you can hook it to a battery. I will say on these, if you hook it into a battery, it will run better. There must be like I'm not an electrician, but there must be a voltage step down or something in the, when you use the like cigarette adapter compared to just hooking it straight up on the battery. It'll run a lot better. Again, Amazon, haven't heard anything, I don't know, it was one of those things that probably just had okay reviews, so I bought it. The case is chintzy. It's not a great case, but it stays in here, so it doesn't necessarily need to be. But the reason I got this was less for the pressure gauge. It has one, but these auto set deflators, you can go ham on these and spend a ton of money, or you can get like I would call it a mid-quality. So these are pre-settable. I think I have these set at 18 PSI. So I can air down all my tires if I want to for off-road comfort. That was the main reason for this bag, but it also came with some of those things I was talking about. Valve stems, a valve stem tool. If you keep caps on your valve stems, you'll probably never lose a valve stem, but if you don't, you might lose a valve stem. And if you don't have a valve stem, well, you're kind of out of luck. So there's that. This one is another air compressor option. It just needs to get put in a different vehicle. But I did want to put it in here as an example. So you don't have to go quite as big as that. You can see they have kind of miniaturized them. This is the same thing essentially as that. on a same 12 volt DC system. It's just a little more compact, got a little less going on, but you can, I believe you can set PSI shutoffs on this, so you could set whatever you want it to be, and you don't quite have to babysit it like you do this one. It should, I believe, turn itself off automatically. And if this one doesn't, there definitely are ones out there that do that. Okay, so again, still on that tech side, if you don't already have a, I don't know what you would call this, like a digital or a micro jump start device, I would highly recommend this. The old days of jumper cables are kind of behind us. This will do, this model, I believe, my pickup is a little 1500 Ram diesel, and it's a 3.0 liter diesel, and this will do up to a 3.6 liter diesel. It's got enough juice to get it jump started, but the way that it works is you plug in your cable here, and they're just your jumpers, standard alligator clip jumper, and you push the power button, you wait briefly, and then you go start your vehicle. There's a flashlight. It also like dual purposes as a USB power bank. All right, so from my Jeep days, I've had a few Wranglers, and they have an issue with the hood like flying up into the windshield. And although I never had it happen to me, I have seen, it's usually a JK Wrangler, but I've seen several Wranglers with ratchet straps on their hood. And so if your hood mechanism were to break, I don't know how you would keep that down on highway speeds without something like this, or wire or something. But I know that's a really specific use case for a ratchet strap, and I keep them in the vehicles and other places. But if I had to strap something up out of the way like that, a hood latch failed, or a spare tire cable broke, and I had to just get something up and out of the way, these work pretty well. They also work as like miniature come-alongs. If you were to break something a little more major and you had to like move some weight, you can do that to some extent with one of these. So I'd say that pretty well, let's see. No, it doesn't. I have a little mini tarp. It isn't very much. It's a pretty small tarp. Maybe like 2 feet by 4 feet, something like that. Again, it's small, but man, this will save you from getting super dirty. Murphy's Law, you know, things are going to happen at the worst time. It's not going to be when you get a flat tire, it's not going to be a beautiful day. It's going to be a crappy day. You'll be on a dirt road. You'll be in mud. You'll be somewhere you don't want to get all dirty. This just helps alleviate that a little bit. And then a shovel here. I think this is just like a cold steel shovel. Pretty inexpensive. Yeah, cold steel. You can find these on Amazon. You can multi-purpose this into like a cutting device. It'll hack through limbs. It's a sharpened edge, which is why it's in this heavy nylon sheath. But having a shovel, this one you just got to be a little careful about when you're next to your tires. But having a shovel that you can manually move some snow or something to clear a tire, not as big of a deal with a four-wheel drive vehicle, but still pretty important to have. Okay, so now we're getting more into specific recovery. I won't get into too much detail, but these are soft shackles. They're just used as recovery points on a vehicle to connect some other cabling, winch cable, tree saver, tow rope, things like that. And they're safer than those old metal D style couplers. D-rings. These have a really high load tolerance. Spend the money, get one that's well made. Don't buy one off like a cheapie off Amazon. And then this was for when I had a Jeep with a winch, but I still carry it in case I come across someone with a winch. It's amazing how many people have winches on their vehicles, but they don't have any of this stuff in it. So at the very least, I have this stuff, and I can throw this on a vehicle or my vehicle in those scenarios where there's another vehicle involved that has a winch, or someone comes up with a winch. I've already got some devices for that. This one is used to reduce the gearing on a winch, line, tow. The exact words escaping me right now. But essentially, you run the line around this, you tie it back to the winching vehicle. It'll slow the winching speed, but it will increase the leverage, the mechanical advantage that you have for if you're stuck in really mucky stuff. It won't stress the lines or the winches quite as much as a direct pull, a straight pull. This is probably, I think, the safest version of that type of a device. The other ones are like these clamped steel with a rolling wheel in it. This is just a simplified version of that. Now here's where I've gotten a little bit cheaper. I think these are just Harbor Freight things, but a simple tow strap. Follow your recommended capacities and working load limits. There should always be a tag with a load limit. This one's an 8,400 pound braking strength. Follow those. Look at your door panels, see what your vehicle's GVWR is. This is a tree saver. Again, working load limit, 6,400 pounds. If you're in a really wooded area, you can wrap this around a tree. You can run some of these through this and then put a winch line on it if need be. And lastly, probably the most important piece of this various cabling or winching, towing things is a dynamic tow rope. So these are awesome. Again, these all have working load limits, but these stretch to a certain percentage, and then they provide their own type of stored force, stored energy to pull you out of the rut you're in, out of the muck. So the pulling vehicle will get a little bit of a running start. Start off as slow as possible with this, work your way up until you feel like you've hit the limit of the devices that you're using. But yeah, it's a braided line, and so it has this give and this stretch, and it will store that potential energy and then release it, getting you out, hopefully, of whatever you're stuck in. Lastly, back to the bag. There's a little pouch down in here that a hard plastic bottom slides into, and so again, it helps with rigidity, it helps with protection, so you can't wear easily right through the bag over time. But yeah, that pretty well concludes what I keep in my vehicle for just roadside assistance, fixing some roadside problems. And then I'm debating on whether I want to put some, they'd be a little more campish style, survival style things in this bag or not. Silky saw, pot, filter, some sort of a camp stove. I do know that I have to add to this safety vests, reflective safety vests. That's something on the roadside that's super important to have. You just always want to increase your odds of being seen. Anything you can do to be seen is what you want to do. So use your headlamp, use reflective devices if you have them, and you should be safer than you were if you hadn't put that on. But anyway, yeah, that's it. So if you, again, found this useful, like, comment, subscribe. I'll have some more on some other bags. I will do my get home bag and some of the other maybe first aid kits that I carry if it's of interest to you guys. So with that, thank you so much. We'll see you guys next time.